Get ready, y'all, because coming up next, we have Eli Harris. Eli is an award winning actor and voice artist who's been in, a couple recognizable games like Skyrim, Ethereal, and the upcoming Starship Troopers game that was recently announced. So let me get out of your way. Let's welcome Eli to the stage and see that hype in chat.
Hey everyone, I'm Eli Harris, an award winning actor and voice artist. Before I get into all of the great details of why I'm here today, I want to give a huge thank you to the Game Devs of Color for allowing me to be a part of the expo. I love what GDoc is about, and I think one of the super dope things that this organization does is they try to show the process of what we go through as game devs, but also to make the experience so much better for the consumers, which of course are you guys. So I'm here today to represent the voiceover part of gaming because I feel that we're one of the more uh, minority spoken of when it comes to the process of game development. And the voice is one of the most essential parts of gaming because one of the biggest things that is important is proper representation for cultures in gaming. So, with that being said, let me go into a little bit about my background. So, I got into the arts at 6 years old. My parents got me involved in theater at 6 because I have ADHD. And so they wanted to make sure that I use my energy in a positive way. And so I started off doing theater. I did some during my school years. Then later in life, I went into the military, which I am a veteran and proudly a veteran. After I got out the military and served my time, I came back and got into the 9 to 5 grind. And so I had to talk with my wife about it. And she suggested, hey, if this is the direction you want to go into it. Now, me, I'm a huge gamer. Okay. And it's one of the biggest passions in my life, and it also helped kind of balance me out. So I started off in film. I did film for 20 years, film and television, which was great for me. But I transitioned into the voiceover part of the business 3 years ago. And I got to say that doing voiceover, it gives a totally different high for me than on camera. On camera, I get to play so many different people, and one minute I'm playing an FBI agent, and the next I'm a drug dealer, and then the next I'm a doctor. So it's super dope to do that. But voiceover, whoo, that is something that's a totally different realm. I can voice monsters. I can voice old cantankerous people. I even get to make bizarre noises. And what other field can I get up in the morning, wear a robe or boxers or whatever, and go into the booth and do exactly what I love? And to be real with everybody, this is what I got into VO for. Now I do voice a lot of other things. I'm the voice for a lot of brands, commercial wise. I do promo work as well, and I do animation. But video gaming, of course, it's that's my thing. So, with that being said, I'm gonna go ahead and get into what some of the challenges are when it comes to the VO industry and in gaming. Um, One of the things that I've noticed is you don't find a lot of scripts that are accurately speaking to the audience when it comes to uh, people of color. And one of the things that I think that would help with that, from my view, is once you have your character developed, designed, a story written for the character and everything, and you decide on the type of voice that you want, it's really good to find someone that can culturally represent that character and assist to a certain extent when it comes to the storytelling or the dialogue of the character. I am very fortunate to be the face of a new game coming out called Superfuse, published by Raw Fury. And so when Stitchheads, who are the game devs, came to me about the Berserker, which is the face of the game, um, they said, "Look, we're a bunch of white guys from the Netherlands, and we try to write the dialogue the best way we can based on our research of African Americans. But since you are African American, we would like for you to take a look at this, take a look at the dialogue, and see if it accurately represents your culture, your people. And that threw me because we're not used to that. Typically, I get a script and I go knock it out, and that's that. So for them to come to me and ask for my input, it meant a whole lot. And that's one that game to me is probably one of the highlights of many games that I've done, and probably one of my personal favorites, just because it's me speaking in the game. Another great game that I got a chance to work on was Starship Troopers. And I know there's a huge cult following for that whole Sony franchise. And I got to play the lead in that. And that's another that was done by Slytherin Games, by the way. That's another one of those great projects that did show great interest in casting people of color and having them speak accurately to their culture. So they had myself, they had a super talented Latina actress who voiced Cortez. So things are being done to correct some of those issues. And along those lines, like I mentioned earlier in my intro, I feel that VO is one of those under-recognized parts of gaming. You know, when game development is spoken of, we're speaking on a lot of times the animation, the teams that are being built to use Unreal, and all of those development parts, of course, are super important. But the voice is the soul of your project. We're the ones who make you care about the characters. Imagine seeing animation without the voice. Imagine playing Call of Duty without the voice. Imagine playing Smash Brothers without a voice. It would be like just playing an NES game. Now, don't get it twisted, because I still play NES titles. I love 8-bit games. But could you imagine playing some of your favorite games, whether if it's Skyrim or, Elven Ring or, and there's no voice, just text going across the screen. We make you feel. We make you care about the characters. We draw emotion out of these characters for you to accompany and go with with what you see on screen. So it is my hope that VO gets a little bit more respect put on its name. Now, of course, we know of the Phil Lamars, and we know about Michael Ironside, and we know all of these TC Carson. We know all of these great voice actors, but there are a ton of us. There are a ton of us. Keith David is one of those people that I look up to, just because he has been part of my childhood. His voice is magnificent. But there are a lot of us that you may not know by name that bring those emotions and brings those feelings and energy to the games that you play. So that's part of what I do, especially when I go and do speeches and do other conventions like I did at GDC this year, is speak on the importance of VO. So that's something that I want everyone to keep in mind as well, and understand from my position as well as my colleagues' position. We are a very important part of the game development as well. And to further extend on that sentiment, there are a lot of steps being done to correct the issue of proper representation, because even in the animation world, you had Mike Henry, who stepped down from Family Guy. You had Kristen Bell, who stepped down so that people of color can properly represent their cultures. So those were things that, for one, I'm super happy about. I've personally had people, my colleagues, reach out to me with auditions that did not fit them and said, "Hey, I'm turning this down. Can you, or do you know anybody that wants to audition for this?" And when we see things like that, it makes us feel better, because it shows that non-people of color do care that their culture is being properly. One of the great examples that I can show, and in an ironic fashion, is people of color being cast for other cultures as well. Now, this may sound like, wow, that's kind of a hypocrisy because aren't you speaking on people of color being able to voice their culture accurately? So why would it be okay for a person of color to voice somebody else? And to that, I would say that's a great question. You know, there's a great belief within all of us that, hey, if the voice fits, let the voice do it. The color shouldn't matter. The issue is that the landscape has not always been that fair for Black indigenous people of color.
Watch yourself. This ain't a tailgating party. Another dent, huh? You ever hit the broadside of a barn? Oh, bring them and swing. Hey, damn it. Gosh, darn it. Dang, I got nothing. Get off my lawn.
So the tables are being turned a little bit in that sense, for instance, with the game that I'm voicing called Chaos Card. Daniel Peterson from Baka Bros had reached out to me and said, hey, you know, I heard your content and I have a character that I think would be interesting for you to voice. Are you up for it? So I'm like, cool, because I love racing games. You know, I love Mario Kart and, you know, Sonic, the Sonic racing game. So I'm like, yeah, well, what do you have in mind? And so he reached out to me and said, hey, I want you to voice this redneck. His name is Bucky. And I'm like, yo, that's dope. That's dope. And so I'm like, let's do it. So he sent me the script and everything. And I got to tell you, I had fun with it. And I'm going to show y'all a little bit of that footage. And I hope that you gather something from it because it's really interesting. Go ahead and take a look.
Let's hear a little demo. What you got?
All right, so where do you want me to start at?
So let's start at the so just the top of the list. So let's do take first place.
All right, let me go ahead and get into character real quick. Now go ahead and get ready to line out Bucky. All right. Well, hot dog. Ain't my first rodeo. Can do that. Kicking up dust. Time for you to catch up. Dang, nabbit! I'm getting smoked. Must have popped the tire. Oh, buddy, this ain't good.
All right, so I hope that y'all like some of that footage. One of the reasons that I wanted to show that is to show that, you know, not only can people of color voice their characters, but we can also voice other characters as well. But I also wanted to show you all the process that we go through because a lot of times people only hear the finished product. They only hear the polished product. They don't see the process a lot of times. And so I thought it would be great for everyone to see what we go through when we're doing sessions. You know, we don't always nail the part right away. And, you know, they may want some changes with the way certain words are said or certain inflections. And, you know, so I thought that was a great kind of behind the scenes into our world to show you guys. So I hope that's something that you really appreciate. And not only did I voice content for Baka Bros for Chaos Card, but there's a ton of other games that I've done and a lot of other projects that I work on that are outside of gaming. So, like I said, I'm a huge gamer. That's why I got into voiceover, was for gaming and animation, because I'm also an anime nerd. But I've also had the pleasure to voice so much content for other brands. You know, one of my top clients is Disney. I do a lot of stuff for them. And one of the things I love about Disney is that they are veteran. They show that they love veterans, that they appreciate their veterans, and they do everything they can to show their appreciation. And so working for companies like that is even sweeter for me. Plus, who don't want Disney on their resume? I do a ton of stuff for UFC Fight Pass, for LFA, was the voice for Manscaped for a while. I do a lot of stuff for Vistaprint, Icy Hot, 7-Eleven, Chris Paul with his new series Front Office. I voice not just the promos, but in-show narration. There are so many brands that I voice, that I represent, that it would be too much to list here. and my speech is for gaming. But this is just to give you an insight into my world, because the irony in all this is that being able to voice for video games is very difficult to get into. It's probably one of the hardest parts of VO to get involved in. The commercial work came along with it, and I am super grateful for it. So take a look at a couple of things, well, a few things that I've done here. And this is just to show you the range of my work and what I am capable of doing and what all of us voice artists are capable of.
Call a sword? Ha! Looks more like a toothpick to me. I'm the kind of orc that likes to kill those who ask too many questions. We need a sword to open that gate? Weakness. I could rip that gate open with my bare hands. I thought you were kicked out of that ballet school. It's over already? Hey, wake up so I can kill you again.
There's been an incident at the mine.
Oh, was it bugs? The bugs I said that were definitely down there?
We have reports of some casualties among the miners.
Some casualties? It'll take hours to sort out which bits go in which coffin.
Agent located.
Roger that. Viper, move to the rally point and wait for exfiltration there.
They are up to something, but I don't know what.
All right, Viper, you'll go and investigate that compound. Cobra, we have an extraction point for you. Move to the rally point and we'll pick you up. Get back here! You are selfish! Selfish! You. There is nothing for you on this way.
Or the gods.
The colony's cut off and there's corruption here. That's too much of a coincidence. Yeah! I could get used to that. I've taken down the foreman, but this don't feel like it's over. Whoever, whatever is behind this, they'll have nowhere to hide. I will deliver justice.
People of color, we are able to expand our range. We are able to show that we are capable of doing more than just one thing. You know, one of the interesting things about my business is just how the landscape of it has changed. Prior to COVID, which of course I was in it, but right before COVID started, we had to go to studios and record. So it wasn't a whole lot that we had to really be concerned about other than making sure that our vocals are prepared for the session, making sure that we understand and read copy properly, and go in there, take direction the way that the directors give it to us, and knock the projects out, in the most efficient time possible. So that way we're not, the studio isn't paying more or the company isn't paying more than what they need to. When COVID happened, having a booth in your home was a must, because if you didn't, you weren't going to get work. And so, I think one of the misconceptions, and probably due to lack of understanding, is that we just go into a booth with a mic and record. It is an investment just like anything else. Any other type of business that you're going to get into, it's an investment. So that means paying for a proper coach to teach you whatever it is that you, of genre of voiceover you're getting into. That's an expense. Getting a properly sound treated room is an expense. The microphones that I have, for instance, MKH416 and the Neumann TLM103, these are expensive mics, but you get what you pay for. Now, the thing is that a lot of professionals do use these two mics, but these aren't always representative of a person's voice. This works for my voice because my timbre is deep. For someone who has a higher pitch, these may not work for you. So you have to find the mic that works best with your voice, that capitalizes off of what you bring to the table. It's also making sure that you have the proper interface that you're working with. It's also about having the proper DAW, which is our recording software, one that is easier for you to learn, but also can produce the results that you want. So, I choose my equipment based on what works for me. And what may work for me may not work for someone else. So that's just something to keep in mind. This is a business. You invest in your business. If you go into this thinking it's a hobby, or if you go into this thinking, I'll just get a laptop and a mic, you're not going to book a lot of work. You're just not. Treat this as a business, which takes an investment. But the relationships is what sustains you. Your relationships is what keeps your business going, because all you have is your reputation, your brand, and what you put out. So I want people to keep this in mind. You may have different companies that you work for, but trust me, companies talk to each other as well. So, if you do a bad job, or you're not reliable, or, your turnaround time is slow, they'll make note of that. And when they speak with their colleagues, and if your name comes up, oh, you may not want to work with this individual because they're not very reliable, they're not on time, or it took forever for me to get my project. You want to build relationships. You want to be genuine. Um, One of the things I'm very thankful for is that all the clients that I have worked with have allowed me to be me unapologetically. And when clients work with someone that is genuine, because for me, I care about the project. When I work on someone's project, it matters to me. Their project because my project, because my name is attached to it. I don't know how many people watch The Wire, but Marlo said, my name is my name. And that's what we stand on. So relationships matter. And I think that, some of the unfair stigma would get put on people of color. And people of color are some of the hardest working people in this game, in this industry, and we work twice as hard to show it and to prove it, whether it's being super early, or, making sure that we deliver super quick. You know, uh, this is something that I believe is also, well, has been recognized a lot more. Because a lot of my colleagues, I have a lot of, non-people of color that I deal with as well, that's in my network, but also people of color. It's one of those things that we wear with pride, and non-people of color has also helped shine a light on our work ethic and what we bring to the table. So relationships matter, you know, and that's something I think that's very important and really can't be overstated, couldn't be stated enough. Those relationships matter. Be on time. Over deliver. Make them come to you and say, I need you again. I want you on this project. Build those relationships because, again, and with relationships comes promoting yourself. And, everybody has a different tactic or strategy with marketing. My strategy is probably different than other people's. I'm always focused on marketing, but I'm more focused on my brand building. Branding and marketing are two totally different things. Marketing is when you are pushing out all the content that you're doing, sharing everything that you do, and you're marketing yourself. Branding is when you are making sure that your name is solidified, not just with the marketing part of it, but with the business side of it as well. So your brand is what people really look at, which is your name or whatever your entity is, whatever you call yourself or your business. That is really what people look at. Your products is an attachment to that brand. So I'm really big on making sure that my name is relevant. I'm really big on making sure that with my name comes quality and results. So there are people who post stuff every day and that works for them. I'm not one of those people. So a lot of my promotion is based on my personality and the way that I am when you actually deal with me. So if I post, I'm posting a project, but I am promoting the brand that hired me for that project. So in essence, when I'm promoting Icy Hot and Icy Hot uh, retweets or tags or whatever it is, now they are promoting my brand along with theirs. When I'm doing Superfuse or when I'm doing Starship Trooper and Slytherin Games, share one of my posts, that means that they are marketing and promoting my name along with it. So there are a lot of content creators out there in VO who have done great as far as their strategy and what they do. And there's no, to be honest, from my view, there's no real right or wrong way to do it. It's what best fits you. Because at the end of the day, when you deal with these clients, they're going to be able to tell if you're genuine or not. They're going to be able to tell that, hey, this person is pushing this out, but that's not what I'm speaking to when I see them. They don't like that. What you put out is what they want to see when they deal with you. So for me, I don't post personal things. You know, I feel that I share enough of my talents and what I have to offer with the general public. There are some things that I keep for myself, but that's what works for me. There are some people who love to showcase personal things because it's a part of who they are, and it works for them. So that's how I brand. That's how I market and promote myself and my brand. Is that I do it the same way that I personally speak with people when I'm one-on-one with them, you know, with clients and everything. And that is one of the joys of the VO industry is that, you know, we do things differently. You know, we do things that kind of go against the grain and against the norm. And it's a very rewarding one, not just a financially rewarding one, but it's almost therapeutic for some of us. You know, this is just to be honest, we as people of color, there's a lot that we deal with on a day-to-day basis. And being able to get behind a mic is so freaking therapeutic beyond belief. We can get in here and yell and scream and become these totally different characters to where it's like when we get out the booth, it's like, woo! You know, it's refreshing. That's one of the things that I love most about being in the VO industry is that it's therapeutic. It allows you to just escape your day-to-day grind for a moment and bring joy to other people. So with that being said, my time is running out. So I want to wrap things up, and I hope that, you know, there's some things that everyone learned through this. I hope that I gave enough information to where people could understand our view in VO and in the game development process, and some things that could be made better, you know, not just for everyone involved with the development process, but with, you know, the consumers, so that the consumers can also ultimately be pleased. So with all that being said, I want to leave a little bit of a nugget for those who are looking to get into VO. Take it seriously. If you're looking to do this, treat it as a business. Invest in getting coached from a reputable coach. Do your research. Getting proper equipment, get mics that fit your best voice. Just because I use these mics don't mean they'll work for you. Find what works for you. Make sure you get the proper interface. Make sure that you get the proper DAW, recording software for yourself. Be Source Connect ready, which is what a lot of the clients use now to directly record from your end to their end. Okay? Take it serious as a business because it's easy to get no's in this. Be prepared for the no's. They're looking to say no. Give them a reason to say yes. Be the one that stands out and say, I'm getting a yes. I'm getting that yes today. And it can be done, but it's a grind. Be prepared for it. All right. Want to give a thank you to GDoc. Thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate it. I love what you guys are doing, and I'm going to be promoting you guys heavily. I want to give a shout out to my man, Arthur Milano from Black and Gaming, which I'm also connected to Black and Gaming. Arthur took the extra time out to help me be prepared because I'm really good with interviews and one-on-ones and everything. You know, so this is my first time really doing a presentation like this, and he helped me get my head in the game for this. So thank you, Arthur. And most importantly, I want to give a thanks to everyone that's watching this, to all the consumers of gaming. Thank you so much for, you know, buying into our games, you know, being interested in what we're doing, allowing us to come into your living room and in your homes for you and your kids to enjoy. Thank you. And that's one of the last things I do want to point out. One of the biggest rewarding things in this for me is the legacy for my kids. My son does VO now too because he's seen daddy do it. Everything is great, money, whatever, but leaving a legacy for your family, for your kids, that you can't beat that. So I'm really thankful to the industry for that. And I meant to plug that in earlier. So thank you all. I really appreciate it. And I hope that I shared information that can be helpful from our side, from the VO side of the game development process. I love you all. Thank you.
Thank you, Eli, for that talk. As for everyone else who is watching, did y'all know that gdocExpo has an Etsy store? It's the same as our usual handle, and if you sneak in there, you can see that we have posters, pins, and other merch for sale. So show us some love. Go peep our Etsy store.